She Said featuring Larice Trees. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on today? How are you?
What's up?
What's up, Cleveland?
What's going on, man? It's so good to be in the building, man. This is week 3, y'all. We're glad that you tuned in. We're getting so much good feedback. But today, man, we're blessed to be in the building with 2 amazing people, man. One of my favorite couples. We got Chris Marvell and Jasmine. They here in the building today, man. It's going down. If you're not listening, tell your cousin, your sister, your auntie, and all of them to tune in. Hit that website. Make sure they tune in live because we getting ready to go in, man. Meltrice, what's going down today, man? What are we talking about, man?
95.9 WOVU. Today, we're going to talk about marriage and finance. I don't know if y'all know, but finances rank amongst the biggest reason for divorce. So we got Chris and Jasmine in here. They're going to talk to us about how they handle their finances, how they avoid pitfalls in finances, what worked for them and what don't work for them. So
you being nice, man. Stop being nice because you got your boxing gloves in the building today.
I
so
do.
What you going to do with those,
I'm going to knock somebody out if they come talking about some stuff about blending all your money together and stuff like that, like Larice was saying. I'm curious to find out what Chris and Jasmine do around finance. I want to know if they align with my perspective or if they align with your perspective.
So we going there again?
We going in.
Okay, so you listen, you know the hashtag this week was, what was the hashtag you listen? I mean, what was they talking about with this credit thing you been talking about, man?
Because what was it again? I can't.
So you talked about you checking credit at the door now. So that's the first thing you have before we go on a date. You checking credit, man.
Checking credit.
So I'm checking credit. Well, I'm asking like, okay, is your credit score good? Because I mean, I need to know what kind of range they is. Like, if they're like below 600, I don't know.
So you're not going nowhere. They can't even get in the car with you if they below 600. Oh, man.
Well, I mean, that's what experts say, though, Larice. They say talk about money matters. Yeah, they say talk about money matters before you ever think you're going to tie the knot.
Oh, man. But she didn't say tie the knot. So you going a little time down the road.
But you got to even have a first date before you tie the knot.
Yeah, because she definitely said she ain't even going on a date without a credit score.
I'll blame you.
I mean, it's a part of conversation. Like, how you, like, oh, do you have a man? And then, it's a part of conversation.
It's a part of the conversation.
So
that car you driving outside, I know it's a luxury car, but do you own your home?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an investment account? Do you have a savings account?
Do you have a job?
Do you take care of your kids? Do you pay child support? I can keep going on and on and on.
Okay, see, that's why I'm so glad Chris is in the building. Drico was here last week. I think y'all had him a little scared for a minute. He was shook a little, but then he finally came in, and JD, had his back a little. He pushed him a little.
JD
but
is
today,
like, I'm not saying
I'm
nothing.
telling y'all, you listen. I brought somebody for y'all today, an assassin. I'm telling you now.
He relied a lot on you, Chris. But I got Jasmine on my side, so come on with it. We got our boxing gloves.
So, Chris, go ahead and jump in, man. What's up, man? Talk to him.
What's up, y'all? So, I mean, listen, marriage and finance, men and women often do see things a little bit differently.
For sure.
Larice, I'm going to feel real bad for you, but, man, my wife is the champion of finance in our house.
Go.
Oh.
Jasmine up in here.
Now, wait a minute. Now, here's the thing, though. It's 2 sides because finance is also experience, too. Because she takes care of things, but I also push the experience of life in our house. And so, you can have a ton of money but no experience.
Wow.
So then what do you truly have if you have all this money and you have no memories to really account for it? So we have a really good strong blend when it comes to that.
And that's good. You know what? One thing is, I think that, you definitely need to talk about it because sometimes I think when they allow a person in the marriage to just know all about the finances and something happens and the other person isn't educated. So I agree. Let who does what better do it and handle it. But the other person should be aware. You should know what accounts you have. You should know where your life insurance policy is. You should know where the bills we pay every month, how to log into the accounts. Check the beneficiaries if we've had life changes. You should understand the products you have. Would you agree with that, man?
100%. So I know mostly everything that goes on.
Okay.
Maybe from the dollar to dollar budget stuff. She's way more in control of that.
Okay.
But when it comes to the life insurance or pushing different benefits and advantages that we can take hold of for the year, that's my thing. I run with that way ahead of Jasmine just because she has a lot of other things on her plate. Of course, just being a mom and seeing us through. So Yeah, I mean, I think that, you have to have a perfect blend and a perfect balance.
Yeah, so I mean, last week I think we talked. Was it last week or the week before? We talked about how do you blend money, right? And then we talked about creating a budget, and we talked about having money dates. So can you guys talk to us about?
No, you being too nice. You being too nice. We not doing that. You being too. We not being politically correct today. We gonna ask the question just how we posed it last time.
Okay.
Do you guys share bank accounts, and is that the way you should do it in marriage?
Do you share all your money? Do you put it all in one pot, or do you what's your strategy? I'm curious.
Chris, come on for the fellas, bro.
Jasmine. We didn't heard from Chris. It's Jasmine's turn.
All right, how y'all doing? What's up, Cleveland? I'm excited to be here. To answer your question particularly, we have a joint account. Our checks go into one account.
All your checks from every stream?
No. Okay. All
right.
Come
on, let's
so
talk,
the majority of our checks go into a joint account.
The majority. Did you hear that?
And then I have 2 personal accounts. Chris has 2 personal accounts that our money also go into. And with those personal accounts, it's kind of like our personal spending. Yeah. We can do whatever we kind of want with those accounts, but the main account pays all the bills. Those separate accounts don't pay any bills.
Exactly. That's exactly how my husband and I do it.
Okay, so now I love Chris and Jasmine. So Chris, because you on my blind side, I don't want you to knock me out if I disagree with your wife, man. Don't take my glove and hit me in the head with it. But that's good. So do you guys know the balances in those accounts? Do you have access to the personal accounts?
So, so let me kind of jump in to that point. We only consider each other's personal accounts if we need to.
Okay.
Right. So it's no real need for us to, like, if in the case that I need to know what's in Jasmine's, this account, then that'll be necessary. But for the most part, we're not in that space. So if we need to be, then we communicate it. But to Jasmine's point of us having a joint account, the important part of that I found, when I was coaching couples was, people don't have enough money in the first place. Right. And so then they're splitting accounts. And so I remember talking to a couple who they had split accounts and they were planning a vacation. And they were married. One person went on vacation.
Oh, wow.
And the other didn't go.
Now that's deep.
Because they didn't have enough money to pay for their own trip.
Hey, hold on.
Wow.
But hold on, Mel Tree. Wow. You said something at the office and somebody just texted me and said prenup. We ain't brought up the prenup yet. So how we feeling about that, man? If you get married and you already have children in the marriage, or you already have assets, or your family have some wealth prior to that marriage, what do y'all feel about prenups? Jazz, what you thinking about prenups?
I like a prenup.
Oh,
we don't have one.
We don't have one. No, okay. Let's be very clear about that. Okay. But say if I were still single right now, and I get married later in life or something, and I already have that's tough.
Oh, that's real tough.
That's tough.
Come on, Jasmine. Come on. Don't be scared.
I can definitely understand that.
You can understand
100% why someone would get a prenup, even if you decide to marry somebody.
I have to agree with Jasmine on this, only because of statistics, right? But I'm going to continue to say this. I don't believe one size fits all, right? But prenups to me mean there's a expectation that there's a possibility for divorce.
You know what? Daryl hit me. Daryl, our boy Daryl Johnson. He texted me like it's certain situations. There's advantages to prenups based on certain situations, and I think that's where you're getting ready to go with that. And Donna, thanks for hitting us up on social media about the prenup question. But I want to hear you. Listen, what do you think? I mean, what you thinking about that?
I will have a prenup. Even if I have 2 cents.
You know what? You listen, you gonna cause progress in the city.
She's like, I will have a prenup.
Hashtag Ulissa credit. Hashtag Ulissa prenup.
I didn't know it was a hashtag. I did
Ulissa,
not
you
know
better
it
have
was
some
a
money.
hashtag.
I mean, what we doing?
Ulissa don't play.
If I had 2 cents, we would do a prenup.
Okay.
Just
you gotta protect what you brought into the marriage.
If I have this headphone when it's broken, I'm still doing a prenup.
Oh wow!
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to tell you. In my tongue, I don't know.
Oh man!
I feel you. So I mean, I get that. Like protect what you brought into the marriage, and then what you guys accumulate
together.
Don't you men
protect yourself?
Belongs
like
to
with
the marriage. Yeah.
You guys have
I
hidden
didn't come in
accounts.
much, so
Yeah.
that's a big difference.
But if you
Yeah.
came in with a lot, then would your perspective about prenups be different?
So I love to share. So I'm a giver.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean.
I agree with you, Chris.
and that's how I am. So I love to share. I can't.
Yes.
I wouldn't. If I had this, whatever I have, and I wasn't sharing 100% of it, or if I passed away and I'm only thinking about my family, my mom and everybody else, and not my wife, then what was my marriage in the first place? Was it really? Was I all in? That's how I think about it.
Yeah. But
I agree.
divorce can be sloppy though. Like you think you know a person and then you get ready to start splitting up and divorcing and you like, did I know this person?
Right.
Yeah.
And you haven't protected yourself. Then they trying to get you for everything you have. And then you end up with nothing after the divorce. So it's like
I think
it's a means of protection.
I agree, and I think though, kind of what Chris started off with saying is based on, and I know how Daryl thinks from a financial perspective. We talk about stuff like this all the time, but I think it's based on the age you come into a marriage, the assets you've accumulated.
yeah.
Do you have kids? Are you bringing kids?
Right.
Do you need to protect their legacies? Because now you get married, somebody doesn't have children, you have 4 or 5 kids, and you have properties, investments. Now, should they get everything, or should your
Exactly.
kids
Right.
be left with something
Yeah.
were to happen to you
Agreed.
unforeseen?
But
So
then you have wills.
yes,
Right?
you have wills. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm wondering. I mean, we'll talk about that in a future show.
Yeah.
But wills can protect some of your assets as well.
Yeah, no, you're right. So yeah, I don't know. That's a tough, and exciting, hot topic.
So let me ask y'all this, Chris and Jasmine. So you guys say you have this operating account that you put, a lot of money in, and this is for your shared expenses.
She's not gonna lead us.
How do
alone.
you? No, seriously, because this is going to help somebody today, and we're all about helping people
Let's do
Right.
and
it.
avoiding divorce, right?
Absolutely.
Money is one of the number one causes of divorce. So let's be real. Let's be uncut. So how much of your money goes into that account, Chris? And we can talk percentages, not dollars.
Okay.
Jasmine, how much of your money? Is it 50-50? Is it allocated based on how much money you make versus how much she make? How do you guys fund that account?
I would say 90% of my money goes into that account.
Yeah, I would say 90% too.
Wow.
Man.
So
Wow.
what is that account? Does that account?
90% of our money goes into our joint account and our savings account. The 10% goes into our just frivolous money account.
Wow, she said savings
I respect. I got a lot of respect for that.
Yeah.
One, because I truly, you guys heard me say my opinion was I think you should have one account. I don't believe in having
you
to
put
split
it all in
accounts,
there.
but I think if you have an understanding and you communicate with each other and you set goals with each other, you eliminate debt with each other, you invest with each other, you build each other, I don't think it's nothing wrong. I think I'm being swayed a little to having that additional account with a little money for you to do your own. Because one thing I don't think a woman should be treated like as a child. So where all her money is being put in one place, and now the man is like, why are you spending that $5 on
Right.
that? Why are you going to do this? Unless y'all just can't pay the bills.
Right.
But you should allow her to be her, spend what she wants. So I think that's a good thing, and I think
That's why the money talk is important,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's why I emphasize budget, talk, right? Because one thing we have to figure out is, first of all, if you make, so I'm gonna give you a quick example. If you made 100,000, Chris, and Jasmine, you made 100,000, right? So together, y'all make 200,000. Okay, so do you put 50%? If it's so, for example, if your monthly expenses were 5,000, do you put 2,500, and do you put 2,500, or do you put 4,000 and she put 1,000? Like, first of all, having that discussion, but then what's really important is what goes into those expenses. Is it your car? Is that a personal expense, or is that a home expense? Is it your haircuts or your, styles, your lashes or your brows? Like, what goes into that operating account and what stays outside of that operating account? So the money talk is really, really
Right.
important, and the budget is really, really important. And one thing y'all said that I loved is you put some of it in your checking account and some of it in your savings account.
Absolutely.
So what do you use the savings account for?
I mean, yeah,
Emergencies.
Emergencies.
We have an emergency saving account. We have a vacation savings account. That's pretty much it. And then we have like all our other investments, like our
Oh, they got it
retirement
going on.
accounts, and Chris has a lot of investment accounts and things like that. So
Oh, that's dope, Chris.
Y'all got it going on.
That's
Listen,
dope,
Reese,
Chris.
I'm taking my time.
We should-
I'm
That's
close.
dope, bro. Man, give me some. Yeah, that's
I'm
dope,
taking
Chris.
my
I
We'll
like
come back
that.
with Chris's answer then. Can we come back with Chris's answer?
let's do it.
We'll take a break.
Chris got something to say.
See y'all in a minute.
Cleveland is one.
What up, everybody? We're coming back with He Said, She Said with Chris's answer from the last question. Go ahead, Chris.
So, yeah, we were just discussing, spending money, when it comes to, joint accounts. And how do we, break that down,
Yeah.
theoretically?
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of like this. When I think about my own personal account, it's things that are not necessary. So,
Not
if I want to, if I want to go out and buy some shoes, that, may not necessarily be in the budget, I can go do that.
Did you say budget?
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. Okay, go ahead. I'm
Because here's the
sorry.
thing. Here's the
It's a
thing about me
serious budget.
is that I grew up without the knowledge of a budget.
Right.
I just knew that my mom had 2 pennies to rub together and she made it happen.
Yes.
So it wasn't necessarily a budget to be had. It was I got this much money and I'm just trying to make sure that we eat and keep a roof over our
That's
head.
right.
So I didn't grow up with the discipline of a budget until I got with Jazz, who grew up, with her mom owning a business, her parents owning a business, and just having the systems in place. So
Wow.
I was a bull to be reined in when it came in early. I mean, I was.
Jasmine
he
does
does
a lot
great
of
now,
work.
though. Yeah, he was. I mean, Chris is spontaneous. He's a spender. He's a giver.
Yeah.
Naturally. So
I could tell.
it's like, babe, stop
like
swiping
Rick
the joint
Ross.
account. Like,
Right.
why are you doing that? That's not in the budget.
Right.
So that's how the separate accounts were even born, though, because it was like, okay, we're overspending out of our joint account. We're going outside of our budget because you think you could just swipe. So here's the money. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you could do whatever you want to do with this money.
Right.
And then it worked out for me too. So
Okay.
out of our joint accounts, then they go into our separate accounts
Yeah.
automatically now.
Oh, that's
So
good.
it works out really well for us. But yeah, Chris is great now though. He don't play.
I mean,
Chris
listen,
don't play now.
I was out here like Rick Ross. I was blowing money.
How long did it take
Look,
y'all
look.
to align that vision for money in y'all marriage?
About 3 years.
Yeah, I would say
Oh
3
wow!
years.
So
Take
be
time.
patient, people.
Yes.
But consistently, you
Yeah.
guys had the conversation. So it was consistent effort. Like, here's what we need to do. Here's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, we try
Let's-
to.
Okay.
That's just being honest. We try to always stay on the same page as far as the budget. Normally, I always said I have the budget on an Excel spreadsheet. That's how my brain
Yeah,
works.
mine
It just
too.
works best for me like
Yeah.
that. And the numbers really don't change because you really know how much you bring in. You
Yeah.
really know how much is going out. But sometimes, like, things pop up, especially because Chris and I are starting our own endeavors as far as like the Fresh Life and Chris Marvell and Jasmine Marie. So that type of stuff costs money.
Wow.
And so it's like, all right, babe, we got to pay for this. Are we going to do this out of this account or this? Like, so now we're having those discussions more often, and Chris is
Good.
staying more in the loop. But so as far as like the day to day of just like let's paying all the bills, Chris has access to all those accounts, but I normally just take care of it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I want to know, when you are spending, because you like to buy gifts, I know you're a giver personally. When you're buying gifts for each other and you're putting your money, Rashonda asked a question. She texted me and said, hey, how do you do when it's Christmas time and you're buying Chris' gift and Chris, you're buying Jasmine's gift? Does that feel personal because it's like the money is together?
It's
How
your
does
money.
that
All
feel?
right.
It's your
He
money
gets so
anyway.
mad. at me.
Listen up, people. This
gets
this
so
is
mad. He can't
where
surprise
it
me for
becomes
nothing.
impossible. So this is kind of how you have to do it. If you're buying gifts, A, you either are going to save enough money in your personal account to take care of it.
Right.
Okay. B, you can use a credit card and just pay it off later. But somehow, some way, that's where the joint money gets messed up because you can't do anything. And that's a positive for marriage. It's a lot of couples
Yes.
who money messes them up. So,
Yeah.
transparency is major when
Yeah.
it comes
That's
to
right.
one
That's
pot.
right. That's right.
But yeah, when it comes to gift giving, man, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's a little muddy. It's like,
a little
I have a
Um,
question. What if one of your family members needs some money? So
Oh, that's
what do you guys do?
good.
Like,
That
well,
happens.
it's gonna come out of yours because it's your family member,
Right.
Or
No, you
She's
gonna
so
pay for that. No,
controversial. You listen, so
I just got that text too. So that's a great
That
question.
is
That's a
like-
good question.
I always got people asking me for money, so but I'm
Yeah.
not married. But I'm just saying,
Yeah, no. Anytime it's like that, it always comes out of our joint account. We don't even. It's really.
join.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really nothing even to talk about. Like, hey, babe, such and such asked me for $100. It's like, all right, babe, what you got?
But you know what I
We're
love
good.
about
No,
that?
we're like
But-
that.
but-
What I
but
love
no,
about that,
Jasmine.
they have the finances to be able to support and help other people. And some people call
Well,
me
that's-
like,
yeah.
avoid they call just for some money. We don't got no money.
I don't know if I believe it. I think she said that too lightly.
Okay.
You don't be that happy. You don't be like,
let me
oh,
take
go
this
ahead,
back.
give him $100.
I need to clarify because you're right
Chris,
about that,
Chris,
Larice.
let's go there.
You're
Come
right
on.
about that, Larice, because that's normally followed up with they gonna give it back to us on Friday. So if it's just a flat out give $100, then we gotta talk.
Look.
But if it's a babe, they need $100 till Friday,
Right.
I'm okay with that, Larice.
Oh, but no, I'm gonna be
wow.
honest now, Chris. You know, I hate the family members and friends that call and say, "Can I get a seed?" And I always say, "A seed isn't a seed something I want to bless you with." When you call to ask for money, that's not a seed, right?
No, that's not a
So
seed.
Chris,
That's
like,
a
hey, such
donation.
a, oh, that's
That's a
yeah, that's a
donation.
donation.
Well, first of all, I
Let
don't
me get a
think you should.
donation.
I don't think you should give money you can't lose. I don't
I
think you should
agree.
loan money you can't lose.
That's right, that's
so
right.
when people call me and ask me for money, I'm like, I can't give you $500, but I can. I mean, I can't loan you $500, but I can give you $100, and maybe you can go call 4 other people to give you $100 to get to your $500.
Right.
And then, like, when people call me, I'm like, so you need this money for what? So how are you? People hate calling me because I'm like, how are you going to avoid this happening again? I want to make sure you have a plan so you're not calling me next month for another $100. So let's talk about what it is, and then oftentimes I'll say, oh, you need to pay your rent. Give me your landlord's information and I'll send it to your landlord.
wow.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
People don't
Because
call you
I
no
don't want
more.
grown
That's a
folks
lot.
calling me asking me.
But you know what? I've heard that in church though. You know, Pastor Vernon has said that before, that when you call and ask me for money, like that gives me permission to get in your business.
Absolutely. It
So
gives me
now,
all
if you
your
ask me for
business.
$25 for lunch or gas money, I'm not about to ask you how's your credit score. Like you listen,
I mean,
You
know,
listen.
I'm not
God.
doing that. You listen gonna be like, let me know your score. I want to
the
make
thing
sure
is,
you got good
I was
credit.
I was
Like-
told, my family told me, if you're gonna lend out money, you just thinking that you're gonna lose
Never
it.
get it back. That's
Yeah, 'cause,
right.
like just like, oh, if it's $100, then I'm probably not gonna get it. I probably am. So it's like, if you're gonna lend out money, make sure you have to like think about getting it back or
Yeah.
not.
Right.
But I'm in
So
the
I
mindset
think-
of being
oh.
a cheerful giver. I mean,
Yeah,
because I think
that's right.
that if you get into the whole inquisition and the confrontation of it, then how much cheer is it? I mean, because it's one thing, like, not having something is also expensive. It costs you your pride. It costs you a lot to call somebody to ask for something and to then have to answer 10 questions when if you have it. See, the thing is, if you have it
That's right.
to give
That's
me,
right.
then don't make me feel less than by asking me 10 questions.
And I get that. I understand. But at the
balance.
end of the day, I think some people can be take advantage of you.
That's fair.
And some people, like, I will see people, asking to borrow money, and then next time I see them, they don't say nothing about my money, but they got a new pair of shoes on. Those people are getting questions.
Oh, Belcher, how
for
do
me
you
too,
feel about
yeah.
your uncle at the family reunion? He give you a hug, he owe you $1,000. Are you okay
Don't
with
hug
that?
me.
Like,
Don't hug me, 'cause
he
you act
dapping
like
you
you
up
said
like, hey nephew,
You done forgot you owe me $1,000.
What about my $1,000?
Exactly.
That's why we don't know money.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So
That's
I
right.
understand what you're saying, Chris, but I hope you understand what I am a cheerful giver, but I believe when you're giving cheerfully, you're giving because it's your desire, not because someone continues to ask you that have not done the hard work, right? They have not budgeted. They spending their money frivolously. They, not prioritizing, and then you want me to give you the money that I'm saving for things like that, emergencies and different things like that. So I'm a little challenged with that. Jasmine,
Well,
what
I
are
was
your
just
thoughts
gonna
about
say,
that?
My mom has always taught me, and I want to get here. This is my life goal. This is how my mother operates. She does not loan money at all. She only gives money away. And because it's too much of a hassle and relationships get ruined, and so she always say, don't loan money, just give it away.
Yep, that's how
So
I
that's
am.
how she lives her life. So I think that's a big way to go.
What if you don't have it to give away?
Exactly. Or then you can probably just do what you can.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Okay.
do 100, but I can do 30
Yeah.
or whatever it
25,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know what, Jasmine? I just want to make sure y'all understand. If you just called in, we got Chris and Jasmine in the building, one of the best couples in the
Ooh, I'm
city.
having a good time with y'all
and
today.
they going in, they being honest and vulnerable. And I mean, I'm loving because Chris, right now, we on the same side, so I feel good.
I don't know about that.
You know, but y'all, yeah, Jasmine
I
kind
got my girl
she didn't look
Jasmine
over
on
here
this-
yet. You
on
know,
the
she.
side.
I think we disagreeing on some things, but and you listen to a problem starter.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about?
Hey, Chris, you kind of feel me
Yeah, I
like
do.
I am
she
not.
causing a little
She
problems in the
controversial.
building. Look.
We got boxing gloves
I love
in the building, y'all. But I'm going to segue into this discussion of debt.
Okay.
Right? Because, like Ulysses said, like, let's have the conversation. I agree. Let's have the money conversation. Let's put a budget together. And some people are going to put all their money in one bucket. And some people are going to have personal accounts on the side. But how does debt play into that? Because 9 times out of 10, at least one of every couple comes into the relationship with some kind of debt.
So should you get
It can
married?
be student debt, student loan debt. It can be, cars debt. It can be all kind of debt.
I think it's like understandable debt because when I teach financial literacy, I always say there's understandable debt, and that's your house, that's your car, things you're going to continue to get. But the credit cards, I think those are the things that aren't understandable. They cost you. They make you have to get a second job. They make you pay for stuff 10 years from when you bought it. But I would say what debt is acceptable to then jump in the broom or getting those vows, setting those vows with each other.
And then how do you handle it once you decide to move forward? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like,
Good
do
questions.
you pay debt out of the operating account, or do
Right.
you pay your own
But you're
debt
not
out of
married
your
yet.
personal account?
I'm saying it before
Before.
you're married.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
saying before? Okay.
Before. So if
answer
I'm
his
dating-
before you're married, but then answer my
Yeah.
after you're married
Yeah,
com-
yeah.
uh,
All right.
question.
So for me, before you're married, what's acceptable debt? I mean, debt that is okay. I can totally understand. Of course, student loans, car, if you have any type of property or house that you live in, like that's understandable, right?
That's right.
Then to come into the marriage, also like, oh, you got 10 grand in credit card debt. Okay, like I feel like then that should be on you to pay out of your.
Okay.
I
That's
agree
for
with
you
that.
to pay off.
We'll
Absolutely.
get married after you
Um,
pay that. I'm
but-
just kidding.
And that's the question I was asking. Because you meant that,
I
though.
will
But
get
we're
married
going to be
after you
honest.
pay it after
After you pay all that, we'll get
$2,000.
married.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that is a beast, y'all.
It's a beast.
I mean, it's a slippery slope once you get into it. And Chris and I have paid off thousands of dollars in debt. I mean, tens of thousands.
Yeah,
of dollars.
I'll be honest. When we came in, I was young. I made a very poor decision, and I had a car, and I was probably 20, 21, 22, and I took the insurance off the car. Got into a car accident. Totaled the car.
Wow.
And so, a car is, when you're 20, you don't have the excess cash to just pay off a car.
yeah.
So that lingered for a long time. I mean, every time I would go to do something, I would look on the credit report, and this car from Honda is still on there.
Yeah.
And it took forever for me to deal with that. And it's just something that I knew I personally had to deal with. It was never something that I could come to Jasmine and say, I think that we both should kind of chime in on this now.
Right.
You got to half on it.
Yeah, because
Right.
debt can prevent you from acquiring together.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now your credit bad, and now we trying to buy a house for our family, and we can't because your credit all jacked up. So that's
But you
real
said
good.
that's key. What you just said
What?
is they get married, you get off that plane from that honeymoon, and now you're trying to buy a house, and that's the first time you find out about your credit.
Yeah.
So that's why that conversation
That money
is important.
conversation, yes.
But I heard a couple tell me that as they got engaged, and the day they got engaged, from that point, they actually started a joint account together. They started helping each other get debt free. So by the time they got married, they were going to be debt free.
That's dope.
That's real
Now,
dope.
so what y'all think about
that's
that?
Cool.
Well, we had a joint account. Our joint account that we're telling y'all about at U.S. Bank is the one we opened while we were engaged.
Wow.
That's the same one we have now.
Yeah.
So we did that before we were engaged too. I don't know. We always had that mindset.
My husband and I did, too.
It was just something that was never even discussed. But we have friends who have separate accounts and they split everything. But I just feel like, I don't know. I would feel like that might cause some resentment, or it's like hard to figure that all out.
Yeah.
What do y'all
It's
think?
hard to figure.
Yeah.
I believe in an operating account. And I do believe exactly the way that you guys have yours set up. That's how my husband and I have ours set up. Like we initially when we had to talk, because we had to talk, he understood what my debt was.
I understood what his debt was.
Right.
You know, and we budget. We budget every year, and we say, okay, what do we want to achieve this year? How much do we need to pay our operating? How much do we need to pay our for our investments and everything like that? But no. Well, I forgot what I was about to say.
But you know what? No, but you know
I'm
what?
just going.
I gotta go back to though, and this is going. I'm sorry, it's not. It's on a whole different plane. It's on a 2 weeks ago conversation.
Oh my God.
But I want to ask, and I want to ask Jazz
Oh
this
God,
question.
here we go.
The movie question. The movie question, Ulysses. And Chris drops you at the door. He goes to park the car
Oh my God.
at the movie theater.
Here we go again.
Should you buy the tickets before Chris walks back to the door? And did you while you were dating?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She got quiet.
I did. I bought a lot of things while we were dating. Yeah, I did. I was more a lot of it. I was more in a
I think he
financial
thinks about
position
it. I
to do
think
so.
he's meaning like being
Chris
petty,
was-
like, oh, I'm gonna wait till he parks, and then he'll pay for the movie. Let me just get started with paying the movie ticket, and then he'll come out if he's parking. Let's say it's raining right now, and then he went to go park the car, but he left you at the door. That's what he's talking about. Are
Right.
you gonna go and buy the ticket while he's parking the car, or are you going to like be petty and be like, no, I'm gonna wait till he comes and pays?
Yeah, no,
I think she said she gonna buy the
I'm
ticket.
just buying the ticket.
Yeah.
That's just how I am, though.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get
I
this
am
part.
too.
Let's just
Yeah.
move this on. Let me
Most
get in
people
line.
ain't
It's a
like
team
that.
spirit, though.
Most people.
It's
not
a
like
team
that.
spirit. It's
Most
definitely
people not
a team
like that.
spirit. And
Kira, how are you?
Where you?
Alexis, how are you? Todd, all y'all, how are you? Okay, y'all
I'm
gonna buy
a winner.
it?
We got a group
Okay,
of
okay.
down
Let me
girls
just
in
say
the
this.
studio today.
Okay.
We're not
That's
talking about a
petty.
large
That
amount
is
of money
petty.
here.
Right.
Hey,
That's
wait,
really
wait.
petty.
I can be
Chris,
petty for
are you
a
joking?
large
Don't
amount
do
of
that.
money
Are y'all
now.
buying that large soft drink though?
No, I don't know, because the movie soft drinks take a
No,
while.
no,
All right, we got to
I
go
don't.
for
I
a break.
Go on a break,
Honestly,
y'all.
95.9 WOVU.
Here we go.
here we go, guys. Coming back with He Said, She Said, Larice Matrice. What are we talking about? Tell them.
We talking about this movie date thing, and so we had a caller ask, is that every time? So, because I know I asked the question every time I drop you, because if I'm a gentleman, I'm dropping you off every time. So is the expectation that the woman would pay every time? I don't have that expectation, Chris.
No, I'll go
Snip
park the
that in
car
the bud
with you
right
if it's
now.
not raining.
Right.
And then we can go
Let's
together.
snip that in the bud right
And
now.
then we
We
can
can
go
do it
together.
at some point for you.
Man, you ain't
What
right,
do you want me to
man.
say?
So you know
Like,
what I'm
if
gonna do?
if
I'm
it's
gonna ask you
snowing
for the
right
money
now.
before we get out the car.
Oh,
Can you
that
get
is
this?
petty.
Right.
Ooh,
But look,
so
during the
petty.
break, we had a really good conversation,
Yes, sir.
which I believe when we talk about elevating your finances is really important. So, Chris, you were talking about how when you guys first got together, you sacrificed a lot because you had a financial vision for your marriage. Can you talk to Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the things you did to make those sacrifices?
Yeah. So in the beginning, we didn't have a real vision. I mean, I just knew that I wanted to live a better life than I was living.
That's your
so
vision.
Our first goal was that we had a combined income, and that's of course being married is the quickest way out of poverty or out of any impoverished situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what did we do? We moved downtown to a nice little, over the water, apartment, and so we was, spending $1,300 a month on this apartment.
Wow.
And so it took us to have knowledge, to say this same $1,300 could be spent somewhere living with a big yard. We wanted children, and so we doubled or tripled our square footage and paid less than we was paying in the apartment. But how did we get there? We had to make an ultimate sacrifice, and we moved back in with our parents.
Wow.
Now, thankfully, our parents had the room to take that, but it was a tough year, Jazz.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We had to saved $10,000 in about
Wow,
8
that's
months.
amazing.
Oh wow.
And got pregnant there and everything.
And your parents
I hope mama ain't listening.
Mama,
She
we
is
sorry.
right here. Hey,
Oh,
Mom, we sorry,
hey,
Mom.
Mom.
But no, for real, we that was a big sacrifice. I remember the first night we were back. We were in my childhood bedroom, and we were like, we gotta go. Let's just go get a hotel. We cannot do this. How are we gonna do this? Like, come from all that freedom,
Right.
and then all of our stuff in storage, and just what we need is back in this little bedroom. And we're
Right.
like, okay, we have a goal.
Was the wall still pink?
I think they were purple.
So,
No, I think that's amazing, though.
I want to be funny for a second. So, having a child in a childhood bedroom, Is that what you said?
I think we was on vacation in Miami.
Sorry,
but still, that doesn't matter.
But you guys said something that's so critical, because even after the show, people will call me and say, but what if you never have anything to save and you can't save anything? And I'm like, I don't believe in that. There are sacrifices you can make in order for you to realize your bigger vision.
Yeah.
And if that means moving back in your home with your mom, if that means getting a roommate and sharing some expenses, there are options. You should not be making an excuse as to why you can't save, as to why you can't invest, as to why you can't handle a $400 emergency based on statistics, like most people when it comes up, right?
Yeah.
So
and like Dave Ramsey, what he says, live like no other so you can live like no other.
Right.
And what, I'll be honest, we got Chris and Jasmine in the building today, and I'm so glad we invited you guys,
Thanks
because
for coming, y'all.
you are truly who I thought you were.
Yes.
And just hearing your stories,
Spirits are awesome.
you know, it's so consistent with what I see you guys put on Instagram, share to help people, and just to hear your stories, the sacrifices you made. Because I'll tell you honestly, because we are family here, and I'll tell you, I did that when I relocated to Cleveland. I'll never forget, you know, me and my family, we moved into a 2-bedroom. I built a house in Toledo and moved back here and lived in a 2-bedroom, but it was with a goal, and I'm making 6 figures at that time, and it was with a goal that, if again, the motto, live like no other so I could live like no other. I remember my boss came to my house and was shocked, like, this is where you live? It was in a good neighborhood and all,
right?
But he was shocked. He's like, Larice, I know you can afford more than this. And friends would come over like, this is small. Like, we used to come to your big new house and all that. I said, guys, I'm setting my family up because I learned some lessons that I would make sure I position us that we never want again.
So that's a good segue into the conversation, because they say it's better caught than taught.
Yes, that's right.
If things are better caught than taught, let's talk about how do we then transfer that information, that knowledge to our children, so that our children can avoid certain pitfalls and they can start at the front of the line or in the middle of the line as opposed to at the back of the line.
Yeah, transfer knowledge is a really big deal when it comes to, you know, improving generations. Because if you truly consider that the only way that you can change a generation is by telling stories. Yeah. I mean, if no one talks about the hard stuff, then how can the next generation grow? So
that's right.
I can all I want to tell my, you know, my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old as they get older, you know, man, you know, me and mom, we've always had this and this. You need to appreciate all that we have. And I can tell them that, but what is there to learn from that?
Right.
You know, instead of, you know, telling them that, hey, you know, listen, man, your grandma, she used to struggle, and man, I used to see it, you know, and then, you know, your grandfather, he had some hard times, but, you know, with some hard work, your dad and your mom, we put in. Now that's a growth mindset. That's right. And allows him to see that this is not guaranteed.
Right. And what about saying no, Jasmine? What about saying no to our children? I'm amazed at broke people when I see their children and their children have on Jordans or stuff that, why are you buying a child that can't walk Jordans? Right. And then as they become older,
Did you say just they can't walk?
They can't even walk and they got Jordans on and you broke. Like, let's be real. But then when they get older, now they become accustomed to having those types of things. So now they're asking. Right. Without working hard for anything. Right. And you're going broke, spending half of your money on their clothes and their shoes. Right. What about saying no? You need to work for this. Exactly. How does that play out in your marriage and with your children?
Right. Well, our 5-year-old, he wants for a lot. You know, he is really into sports. He's into professional athletes and see what they wear and things like that. Right. So Caleb just very recently wanted a Kyrie jersey. We went into a store. He just, was kind of tearing it up, like showing out a little bit. And to the point I was just looking at Chris like, just get the $70 jersey. Like, I'm like, let's go. Like, you know, and Chris like, no, absolutely not. He was like, Caleb, I will bring you back here in exactly 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks, this is what I need from you.
That's right,
You do your
Chris.
chores.
Make
he
him
made him
work
do
for
chores,
it.
and he made him have at school they get a behavior chart. If he's on STAR so many times, I think Chris made him be on STAR 7 times. So half the time you had to be on STAR. And Caleb did it, and every day he was motivated. He wanted to do it. He like, whatever you tell me to do, Ma, I'm gonna do it. Because all I had to say is, you want that Kyrie jersey?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, but they learn how to work hard for something as opposed to having expectations. People talk about, you know, sometimes, a lot of times I say, I ruined my children, right? Because I came from very little. And I wanted them to have more than I had. And oftentimes, I didn't make them work for it. So at a point, I felt like they were feeling like they were entitled to certain things. So I had to shift really quick. We have my daughter in the studio today, so she can speak to that shift and how it impacted her. But I love the ideal of teaching them young, one, how to work hard for what they want, two, how to save, but then even how to give back.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you know what? And I say that, you know, because I feel the same way. I, you know, dealt with being homeless growing up. So with my children, they get on my nerves sometimes, Chris. You know, because I look at they've not had a struggle in their
Not
lives.
one struggle.
You know, they don't know. You know, if I don't take them out to dinner every weekend, they with me. It's like it's a problem in the building.
And
you
I
know?
ate syrup sandwiches
And,
growing
you know,
up.
Look,
I
we
ate
made
ketchup
the
sandwiches.
we made the original Pop Tarts, the saltine crackers with the jelly. Put them in the oven. That was a Pop Tart.
wow.
Oh, y'all don't remember
Fancy.
that? Y'all
I
remember the
grew up
water in the
on
cereal?
Raven
No, I
Noodles,
don't know.
Look, Jasmine,
No, I grew up
nah.
with money for real.
No,
Yeah, Jasmine grew up with money, but I remember making milk with powdered milk. So don't play.
Oh, the block
Oh, with
cheese.
powdered
That
milk?
block cheese was the best cheese.
Oh, it didn't
Man,
melt
I
though.
would pay somebody for some of that cheese right now.
But it didn't melt.
What
You
kind of
couldn't
cheese
make-
did you get?
Oh, that cheese
You had
did
to
not.
melt it for a long time.
Oh,
but
I
eventually
mean,
it would melt.
But the bread was burnt by that time.
Eventually it was milk.
But you know what I think about my children though, because there's a balance to everything, and I hear you, Meltrice. Like I've taught my kids the importance of money, saving. Like they've had an account since they were little. They've had life insurance since they were born, things of that sort. So they get nice stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't. They still have a balance. When I take them in certain stores, you know, my daughter, like we were on vacation, we went in the Gucci store, the Louis Vuitton store, and all that. And she's like, "Oh, that stuff is nice, Dad." But she's like, "You work too hard for us to spend $3,000-4,000 on a bag." She's like, you know, she's like, I
She's
get
reasonable.
it. Yeah, she's reasonable. Now she likes nice stuff. Don't get her wrong. My little girl likes to dress. She likes clothes. But she'll go to the sale rack. She'll balance that. She won't go to the most expensive store.
Yeah.
Now you can't catch her. You won't catch her in no Gucci shoes.
Right.
She's like that. She feels like that's a waste of money. So
I
I just
agree
say,
with her.
I guess the point I'm making is sometimes we go to the extreme though, and we don't understand. We create monsters,
Right.
and then we're creating and we're damaging our kids because now they have a closet full of $1,000 tennis shoes, but no savings account. They could buy their own homes. Why do we think our kid can't own a home at 20 years old?
Right.
Why
I
do we
agree.
think that?
I agree.
That's 100%.
No,
But
that's
it's,
true.
It's what you see. You have to see it
Yes.
and to understand it
Yes.
and to implement it.
Yeah, better caught than taught. And again, those bad habits go into adulthood. So now I need those Gucci shoes because I've had them. My parents may have been able to afford them, but now I can't. So I'm going to rack up credit to get all of these things. And so it's that learned behavior goes into their adulthood, and then they're doomed.
Hey,
They're
Patrice,
doomed.
you know what? Somebody, just hit me in my text, my DM, and said, "What if your kids don't listen?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?
I don't know.
I don't
They
know
live in
about
your
that."
house and they don't listen?
They don't have any money.
I was gonna say,
They don't live. I mean,
Chris,
wait a minute.
they
Are
don't
these
pay no
adult
bills.
kids that live on their own? Because if they live up in my roof, they gonna listen.
Oh, that's for
or
sure.
feel my rap.
Chris is
I mean,
old school like that too. And when he's
I don't
mad at the
play.
kids, everything is my bed, my couch. Get off of me. I be like,
My coat.
I'm letting you borrow. Like, no, this is not your room. I'm letting you borrow this room in my house.
Right.
Latrice, I told my son when he was first born, I said, you can't get no tattoos because it's my skin till you're 18.
I know that's right.
Oh.
I feel you. I love it. Now you guys are somewhat young, but I can feel like you have more of an old school mentality when it comes to savings, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to rearing your kids.
Yeah.
So,
Are you guys
Any-
ready for a call?
oh yeah,
Okay,
come on.
hold on one second.
Who
Go
we have
ahead.
on the line?
Hi, this is Tamika calling in.
Hey, Tamika.
Hello. I'm newly married, so I'm trying to figure out what do you guys think is the best way for us to start combining our income? Is it getting a savings account or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to figure this out.
I'm gonna let Jasmine take care of that one. Go ahead.
Okay.
Give her
Hey
some
Tamika,
advice.
I'm wondering, how do you feel about a joint account? Just you guys, both of your paychecks going into one account.
So I'm not opposed to it. I'm just trying, you know what I mean? Like, this, I was married before and I didn't go that route. So I don't want to be scared and say, like, I don't want all my money going into the same account because now we're married and we are one. So I don't know, like, if we should get, like, savings accounts or, should we get like a separate account and still have our own account? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think what brings together some oneness is having that joint account, and you guys like do a percentage. Like, okay, what is the budget? How many bills do we have? What needs to go out in order for us to survive, including grocery and gas and all of that? Put that all in that joint account, and then whatever's left over, y'all can divvy it up into y'all's personal accounts. So maybe doing something like that. What's stopping you? Why haven't you done that yet? What fears do you have?
Well, nothing really kind of like stopped us. It's just that we've been saying that we were going to do it. Like I said, we're newly married, and we've been trying to find the best route to do it. So, like we were saying the same question that I'm asking, like, should we just get all of our money into one account, or should we just keep our accounts that we already had? Because both of us have had our accounts in direct deposit in our job for, like, his 20 years and me over 15 years. So I know that shouldn't stop us. You know what I mean? Because, circumstances have changed and we are married, but that's really what's just been holding us back. It's not about us. It's just that,
I'm with Jasmine, Tamika. I say you get that joint account, that checking account and savings account started right away, and sit down, do a budget, and make a decision as to who's going to put what into what account and how much you're going to put into each account. So that's what I would do. I hope that helped. Thank you so much for calling. We'll talk to you later.
So what's up, man? So you know what? We brought up something that I think we skipped over. We got into some other great conversation, but Jasmine and Chris, y'all brought up this Dutch thing. And I had never really heard people talk about that in our community, man. That's like the elephant in the room for real. Yeah. Like, while you dating, you guys said you went Dutch?
They went Dutch.
Talk about that, Chris.
So, there's a lot of pride, as at least for me, it was a lot of pride to pay for dates and to do things. But what we learned is she loves me just as much to give. And I think that if you are going somewhere, and especially when you're younger and you're trying to figure out the finance part, and I might not have it this week.
Right.
Yes. If you really want to hang with me, you're not going to be like, well, I guess you ain't got no money, so I ain't kicking it with you.
That's true. Right. That's right.
We got to a place where it was like, she loves me enough to want to kick it with me, so if I got it, then you got it.
That's right.
And then when I had it, I made sure that she didn't have to spend. So you start to learn to share.
Yeah. And just to understand it, we're both I'm in college, he's in the police academy at the time. Yes. Like, we don't have it like that. Like, my budget is coming straight from my parents. Like, I'm not working, and so it's like we go out to dinner, we're doing something, and let's split it. Half and half. Or
but now if you were, so that's good. You were younger then. You didn't have it. Yeah. But if you met today, would that be the same philosophy?
No.
I think, for me it would.
For me it would.
For me it would. If I care about somebody for real, then I'm going to consider their situation. Now, don't get me wrong, Ulissa. I don't want to be with somebody who's in debt with bad credit. But if you have, if you're just working on some stuff and you're truly in the midst of achieving some things, I'm going to consider, I do want to go out and spend time with him. But honestly, even if he's afraid to tell me, I know he doesn't have the money.
That talks about that's communication.
Yeah. I mean, you would just say automatically, hey, it's on me. Like, when we go out, it's on me today. And you just take care of it. But it all depends with who. Like, you just can't with anybody.
Well, not with anybody.
And you know what? Now, first dates, people are taking people to, like, coffee shops. It's not going out to eat no more. We're going to coffee shops
that's
now.
The new thing?
Because, like, I don't know if I want to talk to you.
Invested.
I don't know if I want to spend the whole dinner with you or pay for your dinner.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to go to a coffee shop.
And go on Groupon and buy one, get one free.
I'm going to ask a question that might cause a lot of controversy. So you guys can determine whether or not you want to answer it. But who makes the most money in a marriage?
Oh, that's good.
That is a really good question.
My wife does.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Chris.
I wasn't going to say that.
That's a real man,
I have very little ego, though.
Yeah, he does. Chris is...
I have very little ego.
What you see is what you get. Yeah, that's what I love about him.
Because, the thing that I found out in my 34 years here is that there's a lot of strength in being forward. As long as if you can stand in front of the controversy, whatever it is, you can stand in front of it, then no one has any power. So it's been very easy to say, we're not talking about that. But the truth is, like, my wife has deserved to earn what she earns.
That's right.
That's just the truth. Like, she deserves to earn what she earns. It's no right. This is not 1955 where I need to make more money, and if she's making more, then she need to quit her job.
Or you feel less of a man.
I feel less than. No, I feel empowered that, you know, my girl is
powerful woman.
That she's making this, and that she makes a difference in her business. Like, that's dope to me.
That's dope to me.
No, but you know what? I think that goes back to where y'all talk about having those joint accounts. So it doesn't matter who makes what. Y'all sharing it anyway. The bills getting paid. You building wealth
it's one
together.
big pot.
So that's a blessing, man. That's good to hear that. But you know, the women, we talked about this yesterday. Women are lead now when it comes to the professional
earning
world.
potential.
Earning potential is amazing for you guys.
Yeah. There's about to be a transfer. There is
I have a question
transfer
for Jasmine
of wealth.
real quick.
Hold on.
It doesn't bother you? That you're making more than him?
No, and this is just right now. It's been times in our relationship where Chris has made more. Well, but there's been times in our relationship where Chris has made more money than me. So, and the other thing is, he brings so much to the table as far as, like, I wouldn't have any type of investments if it wasn't for him. Like, he understands like stock market and all of that, which is way over my head. He also he has a risk taker. So every business we've created has been birthed through him. Wow. And so it's endless for him, and I just know that this is just right now.
Yeah. Wow. That's
very understandable.
That's big. Yeah. He's more business minded than me.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, man. Thank you for you just tuning in. I want y'all to call the request line 216-271-0959. Catch y'all in a minute. Stay tuned in.
She said.
Back where he said, she said, and we got a caller on the line, Donna from Cleveland.
What's going on, Donna?
What you have to say about this marriage and finances?
Hi.
What's up, Donna?
Hi, not much. How are you guys doing?
Good. What's the question? What you got for us?
Well, it's more of a comment because I've been listening, you know, Larace. Okay. And I just wanted to say, I mean, the information is great, etc., but there's a trust factor when you've been married 5 or 6 or 7 years down the road and one of the partners drops the ball. One of the things that I did in my previous marriage was I had my account, he had his account, we had the joint account, and then what would happen is that when it came to bills and mortgage time, I would write a check, put it in the joint account, he would write his portion, and he'd put it in the joint account, and this way everything was protected. So when he dropped the ball, you know, years and years later and got himself into some trouble, that I was still protected on my personal assets. And that's again when I said about prenuptial agreement. If I had not had a prenuptial agreement in place at the time, I would have lost my parents' estate.
That, you know what? Thanks for calling, Donna. We're going to respond to that. That's true though, Chris, Jasmine. Mm-hmm. You can have one partner fall off for whatever reason.
Facts.
or doing something, or like maybe having a gambling problem or something like that. That can happen.
Yeah.
So what do you say if something like that happened? What kind of advice would you give to somebody?
Well, first, it's a part of the marriage. It's just a part. You know, I don't think that you can protect yourself against everything by paper.
Right.
I think some things you got to work out spiritually. You got to work out. You know, you got to communicate this thing, work through therapy, and money may be, you know, something that becomes a casualty, but it don't mean you can't come back.
That's right. I agree.
But I think
absolutely.
I think to make that, you know, like I got to protect my assets and my estates and stuff, and I'm gonna put. You don't put paperwork around your heart. You put paperwork just around your money. So why not do the same? I'm saying that we don't view it that way. Why is money so much more personal than how we treat our relationship?
But you know what, Chris? Because one thing, just, you know, knowing Donna and the situation she's talking about, because she shared that with us before, is, you know, she in that situation was a little more deep. So Donna's situation is not the average situation. That's an estate that is, you know, for her entire family. So she's not just trying to protect herself, but other family members. So that's a different scenario. So I totally agree, man. That's deep what you just said, man.
You know what? We have Jay in the studio, and he's been married, I think, the longest out of all of us.
Jay, so what you got to say?
Spit a little bit of wisdom on us.
I know nothing.
Look, what you got, Jay? Drop us some knowledge.
I'm gonna drop the station ID, and then I'm gonna go back. This is great. This is awesome. I was kind of like my brother a few minutes ago about if you get married because you're in love.
Yeah.
You don't get married because you got your own stuff and I got my own stuff.
Yes.
I guess I'm old school.
Yeah, that's
No, that's
old
good.
school.
You get married, and if all hell break loose in the marriage,
Yes.
guess what? It broke loose.
That's right. That's
And
right.
you may go your separate ways.
Yeah.
But you did what you did.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, and if I was no good in the beginning, I was no good in the middle. So if I was dirty with my money in the beginning, I'm dirty with my money in the middle.
Wow.
You saw the traits.
Yeah. And that was good.
He said you
people
saw it.
Let me do
people
an
see
ID.
stuff.
Let me do ID. P. Cleveland. Sorry about that. WOVULP. Go ahead, back.
All right, yeah. So Jay just said something because I think people recognize things in the beginning of the relationship and they ignore them.
The signs.
They ignore the signs and they keep going. And most of the time they keep going because they have those soul ties. They didn't have sex before they had the money conversation. They didn't have sex
The soul
before they had
ties.
the
Right.
yeah.
The soul
now they
ties.
have these soul ties. And
Soul
now,
and money ties.
Now you just ignoring all the red flags that you see from a person.
Yes,
Right.
that's real.
But also, you're looking at the potential too, and not the reality.
But
Right?
you married a
Because-
potential?
Yeah.
So you married potential?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
knew. I always
Progress
have
breeds
believed in my
patience.
husband,
Oh,
and I
you
know the
go,
saying,
Jasmine.
"Don't marry potential, marry reality." I get that, but at the same time, as far as finances
Okay.
is concerned, I think it's okay to marry potential because we was both some Build-A-Bears. We both had our stuff we had to
Hold on. She said a Build-A-Bear.
Both Build-A-Bears.
we both had
Build-
stuff.
I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we did.
Right.
So we built together though. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
different. We were
good.
young coming together. Now you're talking about somebody who's older and coming into a relationship. I think dynamics
The
definitely
dynamics are
change.
different,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
But I mean, I'm even older. I'm not gonna say how old, but I mean, my husband had some challenges we had to get over when we came together, and so did I.
Yes,
So we
yes.
brought those challenges together and said, "All right, here's how we're gonna attack them," and we attacked them, and now we're on the upscale.
That's good.
You
That's
know what
good.
I'm saying?
That's good.
So I think it just depends on really taking the time to get to know a person and having the right conversations up front and being honest
Yeah.
and having a plan and
Yeah.
executing that plan consistently.
Yeah, and you know what? Chris said something earlier. He said that marriage was the quickest way out of poverty.
Wow, yeah, he did say that.
And not just saying you get married just because you want to bring money together, but I think if couples could understand, you know, how overnight, you know, 'cause think about it, from a simplistic perspective, you're paying your rent, he's paying his rent, he's paying his utilities, you're paying your utilities. Now all of a sudden you get off that plane. I always use a plane example for that honeymoon. Now there's one rent. And there's one utility. So
Yeah.
instantly, now that money is being able to be utilized to invest, not to go out and
And
shop
save.
and do everything, all the stuff you've been wanting to do. Really invest in building a future together. So I just think that, you know, that's key to consider. But you just got to make sure it's the right person.
Yeah.
That you guys have the same goals. I think
Yeah.
you got to continue to communicate
For
even in
sure.
the beginning and find out what your goals are. Like they always say, be evenly yoked. And a lot of time we don't communicate, so we don't know what a person's expectations. We wait till we get married to ask a credit question. We wait till we get married to figure out they're in debt or they're broke, or we wait till we get to the lender's table to buy this house to realize you got a 425 and I got a 750.
Right.
So now we can't get this house. Now we got problems in our marriage already.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So I think-
I was just gonna say I think that, you know, in the infancy of a relationship it's important to be a little bit patient too, because
Yes.
knowledge just doesn't come overnight. You
Right.
know, both
That's
of you
good.
are learning. Like
Yes.
you'll look back in 10 years and be like, man, like we've been married now 8 years. You'll look back and be like, man, like in that year too, I wish we would have did that differently, but you didn't know any better. So
Right.
now your goal is to improve upon what you know.
Progress.
And so as long as you have progress, then, you know, you can have more patience. Because as long as you're seeing progress, here
Right.
comes more patience, and it just kind of feeds itself.
Right.
Right.
It's just when you get stuck and you're going backwards is when I think things go, you know, a different way.
So I think the theme of this conversation, y'all, for those that are listening, you're either married or you're about to be married or you want to be married or you're in a committed relationship and you're trying to figure this thing out. I think the theme is, one, have the money talk. it's never too early to have the money talk. Would you guys agree?
Yes,
never
absolutely.
too early to have the money talk, and talk about everything. Your vision, where you are right now, where you want to go, where you guys are going to go together. What is that going to cost? What is it going to look like? What type of vacation you want? What type of home you want to live in? And then after you figure all of that out, create a budget around that. Right? Create a budget, make a decision who's going to invest what, who's going to put what into the full pot and do all of that type of stuff. Don't forget to discuss debt. Really, really critical. 9 times out of 10, somebody has some debt. So when you're entering into that relationship, discuss what it is and what's the plan on how we're getting rid of it. And then you start a nest egg, right? Because now we're about to start having families. We need nest egg for emergencies. We need nest eggs for our family. So start that nest egg. And then finally, make sure that you're covered from an insurance perspective in case something ever happens to either one of the partners. So make sure your beneficiaries are updated, make sure your insurance coverage is updated, and make sure that your insurance can take care of your partner in the case that something happens to you.
And I say to add to that too is, because you both brought up an interesting fact, is handle your debt as a couple, not just a marriage couple, but a couple even dating. So once you get engaged, Chris said, wait till you get engaged.
That's true.
But you want to have those debt conversations. Start eliminating that debt together. Start creating savings habit with the 10% paying yourself. And kind of to piggyback on Mel Treese is set financial priorities. Because I think when you set goals together, you know where you're going. So you know how to handle your personal money until you do jump the broom or, set those vows with each other.
Right.
And track how you're spending your money. Because when you're dating, I know as a guy, we want to impress the ladies. We want to take good care of them, especially if I just say to my real brothers out there who really have that old school feel, you want to take good care of the women that you're with.
Listen to them, y'all. Listen to them. That's some good advice. That's some good wisdom.
But make sure you understand that money adds up.
Balance.
Oh my God. So you have to have a balance to it. So you make sure you're investing, paying debt off, living a good life with them, but y'all both got to communicate that.
Because every date don't have to cost money.
Before we go, should we take a call before we go?
Let's take one more call.
All right, let's go. We got Lady Red on the line.
Okay, Lady Red.
Lady Red.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good. What question you have for us?
I have 2 questions and a comment, and I'll listen off the line. Number 1, I wanted to know, can we start a stock financial class? Number 1. Number 2, any books that you would recommend? And Ms. Pernell, let us know if you have your second book on the market. And number 3 is any particular radio station. I know this is the best location in the nation. Any other radio stations you listen to for financial advice? And I'll hang up for the answer. Have a winning day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lady Red.
Let you jump in, Mel Treese, on that.
Of course, I'm going to say financial foundations in terms of a book. Who wouldn't say?
I received that.
I mean, I read that book, and I've read many financial books, but of course, I'm going to promote that one. I thought it was an easy read. I thought the advice was very practical. I enjoyed that book. So definitely that would be one of my top book choices. And then, your new book, you're working on that now.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming soon.
You're working on that.
Fail Proof is coming for entrepreneurs on how to build businesses and to hear some of our pitfalls that we get to deal with, hundreds of businesses in the city, and we've learned it's not locally but nationally some of the things they deal with. So
and then in terms of a stock class, we will have investors in here. So hey, this is just the beginning, y'all. We're about to elevate our finances together. So we will have investors in here talking about stock and different types of investment, not just equity investments. So Lady Red, stay tuned. Stay tuned to He Said, She Said, WOVU 95.9.
Which I want to leave us with real quick. How
Chris
can they reach you, Chris and Jazz?
You can follow our podcast at The Fresh Life, podcast anywhere, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify.
The Fresh Life.
The Fresh Life. We got some amazing things coming out very, very soon as well. So
awesome.
I'm excited to be with my girl and doing some amazing things.
Oh, that's awesome. Isn't marriage good when you don't have to worry about finances?
Yeah, marriage is
great.
Oh, it's so peaceful.
What you got, Jasmine?
Awesome. What you got for us, Jasmine?
Where can they follow you at? Where can they find you?
On my social media platforms, my handle is at Mrs. Jasmine, JAZMINE Marie. And I would love to, especially all my ladies out there, for you to follow me. I'm always promoting nothing but health, wellness, wholeness, taking care of ourselves. So it's all good.
It was so fun having you guys in the studio today.
We'll see
Thanks,
y'all
Chris and Jasmine. Take
next
care.
Friday.
He said, she said, WOVU.
So bad. It's
Catch
all
y'all
real.
next week.
I ride in some big tall hills, big fat checks, big large bills, run out, flip like 10 car wheels.